Okay. Good morning, everybody. We're at our Tuesday morning meditation and spiritual practice. Really great to see everybody and be with you virtually. This morning, I want us to get to explore this teaching from the Baal Shem Tov that says we are where our thoughts are. And it's kind of like another way of also saying that we don't see the world, um, as it is, but we see the world as we are. And the Baal Shem Tov takes this from a piece of the Torah where Jacob is fleeing from his brother Esav, and in his fleeing, he skips right over Mount Moriah, the place where not only where Abraham sacrificed Isaac, but the place where the future holy temple was built. And it was a place of incredible holiness. And as soon as he realized that he had passed it, as soon as he thought about the place, the Torah says that he was there. He was there. And the Baal Shem takes this as not just a story of some kind of supernatural, I just thought about it and I suddenly transported there, but as a very real comment on our day-to-day experience, that we are where our thoughts are. And so much of our day-to-day experience, a lot of the time, is also we kind of move through the world a lot with a sense of lack. And I don't mean lack that's like a fully formed thought of like I don't have enough or I don't have enough of this or that, but just that sense of lack that if only this were different in the moment. It's a little bit of a discomfort sometimes with how things are in any given moment, and how in that moment so much of our angst or our discomfort is the sense in our own thought form, consciously or unconsciously, but mostly unconsciously, that there's something not completely right about this moment, something that has to be changed, something that is a problem in some way. And so we move towards rectifying that, whether it's that we sense that we feel a little bit of hunger, so we want to go ahead and get food, whether we feel a little bit disconnected with something and we try to do something to fill it. Whatever it is, it's all in the moment that our minds are framing the moment in a way that something is not quite right. So we are where our thoughts are. And one of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov that this is also very connected with is he quotes the Zohar in saying that that imagination is a real creator of reality. And most of the time we would think about imagination as something that's not real. There is the world that's outside of us in the world of reality, and then whatever we imagine is something that's just in our minds. It's a fantasy. It's whatever that is. And it's true that we can have all kinds of imaginations that again help create our experience of reality. Sometimes those imaginations are ways of viewing the world that we may find don't serve us very well, or don't accurately share what's happening with another person. Maybe we interpret somebody else's intentions in a certain way that's not where they're coming from, or we have even more existential or even philosophical imaginings about what is going on. And yet the reality is we know that those ways of imagining create our reality and our experience of reality in that moment. So one way of approaching that is to try to say, hey, get rid of the imagination. Get rid of all of that thought stuff. See the world as it is. See the world as it is. And in our, meditation practice, we've been really trying to pay attention to our moment-to-moment experience to try to be present with the energy of the experience, the aliveness, the presence that is in everything that's happening right here and now. And what the Baal Shem is saying is that, it's also, it's not just about being with what is in a way that we don't bring any of ourselves to. It's kind of like this idea of being a scientific observer, that science was really, said that there's this Heisenberg uncertainty principle, that no matter what you observe, you already, through your consciousness and through your interaction, you already affect what it is. There's no way that you can take the human perception out of the equation. So in that, imagination becomes something that we don't just have to get rid of, but is something that we can actually help us connect deeper with the moment and the reality that we want to live in. So sometimes when we start to open to a sense of presence in what is around in the moment, it's not just about being open without bias to what's happening, but it might even be about helping create that sense of presence, that whatever we can imagine about the depth of what could be happening in this moment can actually help create our experience of what's happening in the moment. So the deeper that we allow in our imagination, that we're able to create, to say, this moment, even though I may not be perceiving it be in some way as having infinite depth, if I can imagine that it has infinite depth, if I can imagine that there's no boundary to it, if I can imagine that it's filled with love and energy, that actually helps open ourselves to that experience in a very real way. It's almost as if our ability to imagine is connected to a very powerful and deeper truth that we can bring into and help shape not only our own personal experience of the moment and the world we live in, but actually help contribute to the world that we want to see in even a larger sense to it. So we're going to now get to practice this. It's a lot of words and a lot of ideas, but see if we can practice this sense of imagination, this idea that we are where our thoughts are. So allow yourself to come into a comfortable position that you can sit for a period of time without moving around too much. And we'll begin with a nigun that you are very welcome and encouraged to sing in your own space, and let the vibration and the energy and the melody of the nigun to help bring you into a different space. Let your attention be absorbed in the movement of breath, noticing the movement of the inhale as it enters your nostrils or your mouth. Notice the expansion of the chest and the belly with the inhale. Pay attention to the breath as it moves out of the body on the exhale, noticing the contraction, gentle movement of shoulders and belly as the breath leaves the body. And then following that movement of breath as it switches to an inhale again. Fully absorbed in this moment. Letting your attention be motivated by your desire for depth, for growth, for peace, for truth, for connection. And as you pay attention to the movement of breath, notice the outline of your body as you breathe, the top of your head, the air on your face, the arms hanging out of your shoulders, the distance between the top of your spine and the bottom of your spine, the length of your legs to your knees and your knees to your feet, the contact of your feet on the ground, the pressure of your bottom on the chair, the seat, or the floor. Fully present with all parts of this moment. Noticing all of the phenomenon of the body and the breath and the sounds around you that all merge together, breathe together with breath. We are where our thoughts are. Here, now, this moment. How do we want to be in this moment? We're present, we're aware. Open your heart to this moment. Open to an attitude of embrace, almost as if your arms are wide out, ready for a hug of this moment. A way of saying in our own inner being, everything that I need and want and desire and love is here in this moment. Because the deeper reality of everything I love, the people in my life, the earth I'm a part of, the ideas that inspire me, everything that I love is fueled by that divine presence, is fueled by that energy and aliveness and spirit. That's what I love. That is what's here. And as you open to the unfolding reality of this moment, moment by moment, breath, body, sound, the divine symphony, the energy, what's the deepest possibility that you can imagine of what it means that everything in this moment is filled with divine presence? What can you imagine that it means that God is here within and infusing and permeating and beyond this, everything in your experience? Breath, body, sound. Each one of us has a vision inside, not a vision of sight, but a vision of heart, an inner vision of what that possibility could mean. The deeper we give ourselves to our own sense of what that spirit, the depth of that spirit, the depth of that presence, the more that that reality begins to open for us. I'm going to be quiet for a period of time, and I invite you as we sit together to, fueled by our desire and our intention to grow and to deepen, to have our attention continue to be on all aspects of this moment as it unfolds. Nothing is a distraction. Everything, thoughts, sounds, all is part of the divine symphony. All is part of the unfolding energy. And allow yourself to relate, to orient, to be open to every part of this moment, to the possibility of the depth and the holiness and the presence that's in every part of this moment. Let yourself imagine it. At the same time that we're present with what is here, let the engine of our imagination of what here could actually mean fill ourselves. Continue to come back to that intention over and over again. All right. So as always, after we finish meditation, this is an opportunity to either offer any comments about your experience or comments or questions about the practice, whether it's about this theme of imagination and we are where our thoughts are, or anything else that comes up for you in meditation practice or trying to incorporate some of these ideas into life. So just go ahead and if you would like to speak, just unmute yourself, and love to hear from you.
I started off wiggly, my legs are wiggling and antsy, and trying to stay where I was in my seat and in my mind and not wander. And by the end of it, Rabbi, it was just so peaceful. It's like I didn't want it to end. And I was being gentle with myself because the thoughts were coming and going, that had nothing to do with what we were talking about. That was very, very, I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Learn from that.
Did you notice, Audrey, and what was responsible for the transition between being wiggly and a little restless to more of a sense of stillness and wholeness? What do you think helped that transition?
I think being in the moment, trying to be in the moment, focusing on that.
Right.
Made the difference.
Right. That whenever, if we're feeling restlessness or wiggly, or the idea is not about trying to stop that, to get rid of it, but instead to be present exactly with it as is. Can we be open to the energy, to the fact that there is no real problem inherent in that wiggleness or in any of it? It's just exactly as it is. And as we continue to not let it be a distraction, but instead let it be part of the experience, we find that it automatically starts to settle down. Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments?
Yes. I keep falling asleep.
Yes.
when I meditate outside, I fell asleep this morning when we were doing our meditation. So it's pretty regular for me to fall asleep when I meditate. I mean, it's easy to attribute it to age, but I think there's more to it than that. If you have any helpful thoughts on that, I'd like them.
Yeah. Well, let me just ask, how are you, are you bringing it up with the idea that you would like to not fall asleep?
Um, if I wanted to do what you talked about in the beginning, the answer would be that's reality. I should just go with it. But I'm not sure that that's the right answer.
Right. It's a little bit of a paradox, in
Mhm.
that, right, that there is actually no problem with falling asleep, but what the practice is how do we maintain awareness, through and relationship to what our moment-to-moment experience is, whether we're falling asleep, in a way that allows us to be in the presence. And so I would say a couple things. One is that you can continue to, as you feel that pull towards falling asleep, as much as you can continue to try to be present with that process, meaning that it's not about trying to push away that pull to go to sleep, or but really to try to maintain awareness even as you're feeling that pull. So you can, in doing that, try to pay a little bit attention to the fine sense of that, whether that's the heaviness of your eyelids or
Mhm.
whatever those things that are going along with it, because really it's that awareness, it's that kind of inner eye that's open, even as everything is starting to kind of shut down as it's going. So one piece is to just continue to work with that pull of going to sleep as trying to bring the intention of the practice to it, like you articulated, not fighting it, but maintaining awareness, the presence in it. You also, just as kind of a more practical thing that you can do, is to, and I know this goes against this idea of saying that there's nothing that has to be changed, but
Right.
you can do a series of very strong, deep breaths through your nose. So maybe like 5, let's say. And do that almost like it's like priming a pump, oxygen and air, and it
Mhm.
brings a little bit of wakefulness. And you can do a few of those just to give yourself a little kind of boost, and then go back into that practice of noticing those things. And I think that could be helpful, again, if you're able to, what I want is, I want your relationship with this falling asleep to not get into a combative, thing, like not a push or pull, like you're trying to breathe to stave it off, but just as a way of saying, my breathing is just part of this divine process, opening me to this moment and to this sense of sleepiness and all of that, if that makes sense.
It does, but I think the hard part and the part I'm gonna have to work on is the judgment that I'm doing something wrong.
Exactly. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're tuned into that. That's the core. And what I'll say is, you had mentioned, and there are, and this is just for everybody, because there are different reasons for why we fall asleep during meditation. That's not just all about tiredness and what our body needs. So one of it is that it's just what our body needs, and as you said, Dennis, it's just age. It's just your body doing its thing.
Mhm.
So there's nothing, for some of us, it may be that we're tired and we need to snooze. For others, it's just a habit that sometimes when we close our eyes and do that, it's just the mind's natural habit to say, bedtime, time to go to, time to go to sleep. And so, in that case too, that's another way of just working with it, noticing, maintaining awareness. there's another piece that can be present too, and we only know if it's true for us, is that sometimes when we begin to pay attention inside, there may be some inner experiences, feelings, emotions, things that are going on that we really don't want to feel. That's in there and is uncomfortable, and we start to get quiet and we start to pay attention, and without having distractions, and then we start to encounter that stuff unconsciously, consciously, whatever it is. And it's pretty common defense mechanism to just, oh, let me just go to sleep, because I don't want to, I don't want to feel this. And again, I'm not saying that just because we want to go to sleep that that's what's going on, but it is something that if you're starting to feel that pull of going to sleep kind of on a regular basis, it just may be a question to hold. Is there something that I'm starting to direct my attention to that I'm not wanting to? Like, do I feel any kind of inner resistance to something that's happening? And again, that's the invitation to stay present, to open, and try to learn about whatever that experience is.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Other thoughts, Rabbi Kavod? Actually, I found it to be very, the experience to be very enlivening and awakening. I felt, this morning in particular, really heightened my alertness. And I was relating to what you said a week or so ago about longing, and longing, using my imagination to long for people and places I cannot be with. And I have to say, trying to accept the sort of unending nature of the present, of not knowing where it's going, how long, and so on. And so I really can relate to that idea of using my imagination to just be a part of this big oneness. I don't know how to say it, humanity, us all together, all one. And having, again, I'm not there, I have to say, trying to use my imagination in that way to be with whatever we're all going through together.
Well, yes, more beautiful. And what you're bringing is just prompting me to say a little bit more, which is, there's these ideas of acting as if, even if I'm not feeling a certain way, or I'm thinking or viewing things in a certain way, what would it be like if I acted or thought as if it was this way? I feel disconnected, I feel alienated, but I know intellectually in my mind or in my heart and whatever that I'm part of this great connection and I'm not isolated or whatever. So even though I'm not feeling it, is there a way that I can act as if, or if I can put myself as if? And another way to say it is this idea of fake it till you make it, right? I can't actually, I'm not feeling like I can be fully aware and in touch with the bliss of that connection and divine presence that's in me and in everything. But can I fake it till I make it? Can I fake it to, can I? And what I want to say is there's something that's very helpful about that. But it's also, I think I want to expose kind of a false dichotomy here. And this is what I think is so radical and powerful about the Baal Shem Tov's teaching, which is the idea, a lot of why some of us resist that fake it till you make it idea, or that acting as if, is because it feels inauthentic. It feels like it's wishful thinking. It's fantasy. It's not really here. And it's kind of like, oh, that's just la la land. That's just, that's just new age. As I don't know if this was your term, Ellen, or if I'm mixing one of your terms with mine, but I think about it as like new age frou-frou. Whatever. But this idea, and even in saying it, fake it till you make it, is this idea that that vision that you're talking about, that sense of connection and oneness, is fake. I'm faking it till I make it. I'm faking it. And then you say, okay, well, it's not fake really, but what's fake is that I'm not really there. So I'm acting in a fake way with the hope that it will become real. What the Baal Shem Tov is saying is that imagination is not fake. It's the gateway. It's the gateway to that deeper reality. That really, when we think about what we consider real, or what we consider real in a moment, or what we consider real is really just a mind construct. How I relate to this moment in this, it's just a mind construct of how I see things, or the narrative that I say about myself or the world or whatever it is. And what he's almost saying is, you know what, there's something deeper, there's a deeper knowledge that each one of us has than those mind constructs that we carry. It's this deeper knowledge that's affirmed by every religious tradition in the world, not as a wishful thinking, but as a reality, as the reality of the Shema, of what it means that God is one in everything. And so the imagination piece is to say, I'm going to engage this deeper part of myself, not as a fake it till you make it, but an actual, real, and in the moment enacting of a deeper knowledge, of a faith. And that's that piece, when we really realize that we are actively creating not only our reality, but the reality of those around us through what we create, in our own reality. Because if you think about it, and you think about people that you encounter, the more that you begin to imagine that every connection and interaction that I'm having with somebody is God unfolding in this moment, moment by moment, and that the other person in front of me is the divine image. The more that I imagine that, the more that I relate to that other person in that way, the more that that other person feels seen as being in the divine image by me. And the more that that person feels seen by being in my presence because I'm viewing them in the divine image, the more that that starts to change their way of seeing themselves in the world, depending on what my relationship is with them. And it begins to change consciousness and change the world. It's a very real thing. So yes, fake it till you make it, but just realize is that the fake it is not really fake. It's an active enactment of our imagination.
Well,
Including just one more thought, somebody who hasn't spoken.
Oh, can I quickly get back to what you said?
Okay, quickly, yes.
I relate totally to what you said. Fake it is not faking. It's practice. It's how you get to be where you want to be and actually help other people. So I thank you so much for saying that. That was really helpful.
You're welcome. Any concluding comment from somebody who hasn't shared yet?
Hi, Rebecca and everybody. I was thinking the other day you were saying that like if we say need to meditate in the silence, but if we hear the sound of say like dog barking or say garbage truck, we should include it. We cannot do anything about it, but that's all part of the world anyway. Yeah. And I was thinking about it. I think of it like ripped jeans. It's the jeans that are ripped, but it's a style. We included it into our clothes and we accepted it. That's what we do with our own shortcomings and drawbacks. But on the other hand, it's easy for us to include, say, birds chirping or even sounds of a garbage truck in a divine picture. But how do we include something that's really bad, like with I don't know, like wars, in the world, really bad things? Maybe there is a degree of acceptability to what we can include and what we should fight with or stand against. Well, I don't know. I would appreciate your opinion, but I know we're running out of time, so
it's a big
maybe
one.
another time.
Well, Katie, what I'll use this as an opportunity just to mention about the holiday that we're coming up, which is tomorrow night. Begins Tisha B'Av, which is the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. but central to the observance of Tisha B'Av, and really what that is it's an invitation in one on hand to enter brokenness, to enter into the reality of pain and suffering as that God is present with us in that reality. But also central to the observance of Tisha B'Av, especially as we come out of the fast on Thursday, is the sense of rebuilding and the commitment of rebuilding. And the line in the prayer on Tisha B'Av is, just as God destroyed with fire, God rebuilds with fire. And it's a very powerful image to say that the same energy that is used to destroy can also be used to build and rebuild. And I love your metaphor of ripped jeans, which is, you take something that's very mundane of tearing someone's clothes, which seems to be a destruction or a horrible thing, but then is able to incorporate it into something beautiful. That's a fashion piece. But we can also look into the way that people have used, whether it's taking the horrible experiences of the Shoah or of other things, and people have been able to take those horrible experiences and transform them into movements for justice, for sharing stories, for inspiring, and for really helping bring good into the world. And it really all comes down to, what do we do with those experiences? So it's not so much about, so I guess I want to encourage us in that you're speaking about it in the context of the meditation practice, which is, how do we relate to aspects of our experience that are painful and difficult? And acceptance doesn't mean that we're not moved to act. Okay? Acceptance doesn't mean that we're not moved to act. It doesn't mean that when we encounter destruction, we don't have an obligation to rebuild. We don't have an obligation to stand against the destruction. But it is a sense that that all of it is part of the story. That all of it is part of the story, and we are part of the story.
Right.
And that taking in of being a co-creator and realizing that all of it, the destruction and our movement to rebuild, is all part of the divine unfolding. That's a little bit what we're reaching for here. Have a great day, everybody. Great to be with everybody, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great
Bye,
weekend.
everybody.
Likewise.